Dave Mullen. What's up, sir? How are you, buddy?
Good.
Feeling good?
Yeah.
So where did this idea come from to launch the company?
Hold on, let me start. I'm a horrible public speaker.
He's great.
This is the most awkward thing, and this is like literally my nightmare. So I'll do my best.
Oh, we're gonna get into some good stuff.
I'd gone to business school at Pepperdine after being in the military and decided that I couldn't work in an office after 3 months of doing it. So basically what happened was I got a job working on a National Geographic boat, and like a weekend I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is gonna be my business. I'm gonna make a more active, adventurous version of these adventure cruises for people and have less people on board and go do the exact same thing and make it better. And it took 3 years, but I ended up finding the right investors, getting a 160-foot ship with 4 boats in the back of it. And we're doing it.
That's passion. So let's talk about something, because you said smaller. So you have about 12 to 15 people on the ship, right? So
we have 20 people total. So
20
we take
people with
12
crew.
guests a week and 8 crew.
Okay, and you launched officially when?
May.
May.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. And you go where?
We do the Sea of Cortez, and we do this boat in particular. We do the Sea of Cortez and Prince William Sound up in Alaska.
Okay. So but Alaska's coming up
May.
this year. In May, coming up this year. And so this is something I want to get to. So, because I was talking to Dave, and I was like, oh, so you just have another boat up in Alaska? He's like, oh, no, we take the boat from Mexico up to Alaska.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a crazy trip in itself,
It's
right?
the worst thing in the world.
It's the worst thing in the world, which is what Dave said to me. I was like, oh, that sounds like an amazing time. He's like, oh, no, it's the worst thing in the world. What makes it the worst thing in the world?
As soon as you turn Point Conception up by Santa Barbara, it just becomes like I've done repositioning trips up there where it's like 25-foot seas the entire way up through there, and you're just... People are like, I'll never get tattooed in my life, and you get to Alaska and they're like, let's go to the tattoo shop. It's over.
So are you doing this trip then up?
Yeah, I'm sailing up in April.
In April.
Yeah.
And how long does that take?
About 25 days.
25 days,
Yeah.
barring weather and whatnot.
25 days.
25 days.
The boat moves the same speed all the time, so yeah.
I guess in my head I'm already thinking 25-foot waves, and I'm kind of throwing up over here, but that's a whole nother story.
But I've got a little over 300,000 miles at sea. My thing has been like working on boats. Everyone we have on board is like career mariners, so we're all pretty much used to like the things that most people would not want to do. It's almost like
this isn't your first rodeo.
You don't have to work that much when it's 25-foot seas. You just get to like hold on and go. So. Yeah.
That's a great way to look at it. Just hold on.
Yeah.
Be all right.
Take the ride.
So you've worked in Alaska before.
Yeah, I've spent probably 4 years working up there.
Okay.
So.
On National Geographic boats, as well as for a tour company up there. What's so special about Alaska?
Alaska, in my mind, it's always like that bucket list place for people, but to me, it's the place that, I'm a conservationist at heart, so Alaska is the perfect place to put someone to make them realize that we're not in charge of the show. Like, it's a place that you can go and you can feel like you're really that small. It's not, whether it's like being 5 feet away from a grizzly bear or watching orcas hunt seals, it's a place that you realize that, like, we don't run the show, we're just part of the entire animal kingdom, and that to me is something that's special because I've seen so much of it that I'm kind of jaded from seeing like humpback whales. I get excited from you seeing humpback whales, but to see, bears up close and like these huge predators, it's like, okay,
puts a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah, you're not in like huge mountains everywhere, huge bodies of water. Just to get there is such an experience in itself that you kind of have this feeling of not running the show anymore.
And just like in Mexico, you guys do a week long in Mexico, right?
Yeah.
So you can do a week long in Alaska as well?
Yeah, our trips in Alaska are from Sunday to Saturday.
And where?
Every week.
Where you
Prince
going?
William Sound.
Okay, just around.
Yeah, so you fly into Anchorage and then get down to a tiny town called Whittier, and we leave from there and basically sail across the Sound up to Valdez, see the glaciers, go fishing, go hiking. Basically, it's a choose-your-own-adventure kind of operation, so we don't... the whole idea is basically to connect you with the environment that you're in. So you're not really doing this, like, Tuesday we go kayaking, and you're like, well, I hate kayaking, and it's like, oh, well, in that case, you're going kayaking because it's Tuesday and we planned it, which is what everyone does.
It's not like the yoga class because you have to take it.
Yeah.
Well, and I want to say that about you because from our conversations, it's kind of like, it's there. If you want to do it, do it. If you want to go and read a book all day, awesome. It's your adventure to choose.
Yeah, it can be as adventurous or relaxing as you want it to be. It's, we have it set up where, like, there's a dude making craft cocktails. There's a jacuzzi on the top deck. Like, you can literally go watch the Northern Lights and, like, sit in a jacuzzi and kick it and, like, have an amazing time. But the other side of it is, like, we're trying to bridge the gap between that, like, all-inclusive trip and the, and, like, actually leaving tired at the end of the week and only having 12 people, which gives us the ability to go, like, any which way during the week, whereas as soon as you have, like, 20 people, you can't really do that because you can't coordinate it. So it's, in general, like, the experiences people have been having are, like, the best trips of their lives, and it's I think largely due in part to connecting them to that place that we're traveling instead of it just being another trip, because I think when people throw out, like, all-inclusive into a trip, they think that if you tell someone, like, oh, you can come here and you can do anything that you want, they typically feel like, okay, I'll do whatever I want, but I can't make you work. Like, I can't, like, that means I'm going to sit on a beach and drink pina coladas all day. And
Great.
For us, it's kind of, which is great, like, and you can do that on the boat. You can come and get hammered, which people do every night. But it's, the ability to give people that, like, experience of hiking some remote island in the middle of Mexico that no one really knows about, because people will come and be like, oh, this is exactly like the Caribbean or the Bahamas, but there's nobody here. Or you go to Alaska and it's the same thing where there's nobody there. Like, you can't find a person. To put people in those situations and to have them have a life-changing experience, which, like, we'll probably get to this question, but I was thinking about earlier, like, to me, that whole travel situation is learning something about yourself, being in the place that you are at that moment. That's what I'm trying to get people to come have, instead of another, like, I went on a vacation, it was great, I took a week off from work, and now I'm back at work. And it's just like every single other vacation.
For someone who says they don't like doing this, I'm sold on that whole experience.
I hate this.
But that was so authentic and real. For, like, to me, so travel with meaning is that whole conversation right there. It's the realness of that. And in our conversations, leading up to this, it was you guys creating this intimate experience, right? Yeah. It's creating these opportunities in remote, exclusive places, going in the Sea of Cortez in places, whether it's diving with whale sharks or seeing, hiking remote places that people don't get to go.
Yeah.
Some of your other travel experiences that really lead into that. What I want to get to is some of your previous travels. And, well, you're such a fascinating dude, just from the conversations we have. When I was like, oh, something about your travel, you're like, I'm not a traveler. I like to be that local. And you were telling me a story about, was it going to Nepal? And just kind of renting a random room somewhere?
Yeah, I rented I moved to Nepal. It was, to backtrack it, I joined the military right after high school. I graduated right after September 11th. I did 6 years in the Navy, and then I worked as a private military contractor, and I was making a ton of money, and I had, like, short bouts of time off, and then I'd have one, like, longer time off. I was walking through a hotel lobby, spun a globe, my finger landed on Nepal, bought a plane ticket, didn't research it. I literally just flew to Nepal. I'm an idiot. And I got there, and I like, and this is my personal way of like independent, like on my own travel, is I love to go places and not research it at all. Like, I love to go there and dive into the culture, figure out where to go based off of like, you live here, you grew up here, tell me, because you're going to be better than Lonely Planet or Frommers. So to do that,
you don't seem like much of a Frommers.
Definitely a Lonely Planet guy.
Yeah, you're definitely not a Frommers guy to me.
Yeah.
You know?
So I did Nepal, and I ended up staying there for a pretty good chunk of time, and I left. I got really sick going up to Everest, and then I went to the Maldives, and the guy that, cause
wait, go back to this. Did you make it up to base camp though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like dying though, like, and people were literally dying on the trail going up there. So
but you were not going to not.
The doctors were like, "You need to get the hell off the mountain." And I got back down to Kathmandu, and they have travel agents in Nepal. It's amazing. They get you like great deals on flights, and it's so much cheaper to fly when you're in Asia already. So I became friends with this travel agent, and he's like, "We need to have dinner when you get back." And I wanted to go to Thailand, but they were having the May Day protests, and like people were throwing hand grenades in the streets. And I was like, I don't need that. And I went to the Maldives and stayed at a Holiday Inn, which is phenomenal. They have their own island, and I stayed there for a week and like recovered and drank gin and sat on the beach and like did a vacation, which I never do. And then I went back to Nepal, and the guy's like, "Oh, you can pay half my rent and live with me, and like, since you're staying here." And I was like, fuck, like, I don't know what's rent because I'm from California. And he's like, "It's $8 a month." And I was like, $4, like, man. So I lived in a 48 square foot apartment in Kathmandu, which is smaller than most jail cells in the United States, which I won't get into. And and it was like the gnarliest experience because I was living with this guy who was a Gurkha selling plane tickets in Kathmandu to tourists, but it was also like, you couldn't immerse more into it. I mean, we ate dinner every night together on a piece of newspaper. We had dal bhat, which is like lentils and vegetables and rice, and you ate with your hands, and it was disgusting. And I can't eat lentils anymore, but it was, to me, that's what it's all about, is like, it's not that you need to like challenge yourself traveling, but you learn about yourself being in a situation like that, especially being from Southern California. Like, I grew up in San Diego. I grew up all right. I grew up at the beach. But to go do stuff like that, and you come back here and your perception on what's actually important and what's not important, like, to me, that's traveling. That's the thing where you go and you're like, I don't need a BMW. Like, people literally put their umbrella over my head when it's raining in a third world country, and we're sitting here complaining about how we don't make 6 figures a year or something like that, and like, I'm miserable because it's like,
perspective.
Yeah, it's a total game changer to go over there and like really immerse yourself into that, because you end up walking away from it being like, to me, that's like the ultimate of, your New Year's resolutions.
Yeah. It's the connection, it's the learning, it's all those things.